Wikipedia.
Alrighty. Once again, I'm Cameron,
Michael.
Brayden, Wayne, and we're back.
Philosopher Profile number 2.
What's number 2 now? We'd like to start it off.
I guess I can do it, I guess.
Newest guy.
My guy is Paul Michael Foucault from France. He was born October 15th, 1926, so he's kind of a more recent guy. I guess not recent, but more recent than probably the others. Died 1984. He was not married, no kids. But his education, he's taught a lot of places throughout his life. Maybe not for very long, a couple years or so. He was a French philosopher and historian. He was also a controversial scholar who shot to both fame and notoriety post-World War II for his best-known work of The Order of Things. He was widely associated with structural and post-structural waves in Europe. His work can largely be categorized as metaphysical and historical research. He hoped to comprehend the philosophies that molded an individual's present, not only in terms of antique functions, but also by locating the vicissitudes in their utility for history. And some of his lesser known works were The History of Sexuality. It is also considered extremely important, though not a major work, due to it being unfinished. And some of his other known works include The Use of Pleasure and The Care of Self. And he lectured numerous times on the topics pertaining to sexual issues, and proclaimed that it was more of a necessary good, albeit essential for reproduction. And it's just kind of talking about sex, kind of like the last guy I guess I talked about it. Just kind of thought about. And a sad twist in irony, however, put an end to his career after he died in an untimely death from complication related to HIV, sexually transmitted diseases. And he was the second of 3 children. He was a Roman Catholic. He studied at the Lycée Henry IV for 2 years before he attended regular Lycée, where he stayed until 1936, and he excelled in Latin, history, Greek, and French. He studied history and philosophy under Louis Girard. In 1946, he enrolled at the leading Eco-Normal Superior during his time at the institute. He became an insatiable reader and was largely unpopular with his peers. In his early years, he was extremely depressed and was always distressed due to taboos surrounding homosexual activity, which he indulged in. He worked as a psychology instructor at the University of Lille de France. He worked hard for his thesis, studying for a doctorate at the Foundation Affairs of Philosophy and Psychology. He published his first book in 1954, Mental Illness and Personality, and he wrote the introduction to Ludwig von Swanger's paper, Dream and Existence, which kind of sounds like something related to the movie we watched. A sexual indignity forced him to leave Poland for West Germany, where he began teaching and took a vacation post in the philosophy department at the University of Clermont Ferrand, which is probably where he started his philosophy kind of major thing. He completed his doctorate thesis, Madness and Insanity, the History of Madness in the Classical Age, which, kind of sounds like reality or dream or reality kind of sense. What's real, madness, insanity kind of thing. From what it sounds like, that's probably all his major philosophical things. In 1975, he published one of his best works, Discipline and Punish, which offered an insight into the history of the system of Europe. The following year, another one of his major works was published titled The History of Sexuality, The Will to Knowledge. And towards the end of his life, he remained an active political activist. So after that, he kind of just worked on college stuff. And so by the sounds of it, he was a lot into the sexual. From the sound of it, it sounds like he was a lot into the sexuality of people, like gays, probably just gays, and what does it mean to be man? What does it mean to be woman? I'm guessing, and just the ideas of people thinking being a man in a girl's body, whatever. Maybe they had that problem back then. I don't know. I don't know too much into like his actual works, but it sounds like because if you're using the psychology part of it as well, it could be the mind and the body kind of thing. So
he's a Roman Catholic.
That's exactly
what he likes. Sex.
Well,
yeah, not like sex, but like is into like gay sex, you know, transsexual sex. Like,
it was just kind of it's different to hear that.
I mean, the homosexual activity, right?
Well, not even that. Just the fact that he was a Roman Catholic. I mean, just it goes to show that like there's a very people get the wrong impression of Roman Catholic. They think it's just
straight narrow.
Exactly. Like I'm Catholic, and it's just like I can see how
you kind of grow. Like some people, like for me, I kind of. Me and some people, like not just me, but some people in my family, just go out to bed. Because we're Catholics. You're so like no sex. You get more curious and you ever think and just kind of start looking it up or whatever, figuring out what it is, and then that gets interested or whatever. So you turn away from church.
Well, he was talking about in class the reason why most, like in America, sex or
isn't as bad as in Germany.
Yeah, it's because of the Quakers. But he's in Europe where the Quakers were hated. The Quakers were the ones that influenced our perception of sex through Roman Catholicism. But from where he is, it's probably more open rather than here where we find it different. Like Christianity and sex kind of so far apart.
Kind of the same shit.
That's where his point is. But I was wondering is, you mentioned that most of his sex drive, you said, came from like reproduction, like his view of reproduction. Then how would that homosexuality affect that?
Well, it didn't really meant. It just says like the history of sexuality and then the use of the pleasure and care of self, not really more about reproduction.
Okay.
But it's just about the pleasure behind it.
Okay.
And not the like, he didn't find really any other use for sex was for pleasure and then it's separate. I mean, of course, reproduction, but it's like, if that's the only thing that it's used for, we'll do it like once, twice, maybe 3 times in our life and that's it. Mm-hmm. If it didn't feel good, why would we keep doing it? Like, if it didn't feel good, if it hurt when we did it, we wouldn't even, if it hurt, we wouldn't do it. Right. And if it feels good,
pleasure.
Yeah. It's just
called because the only other one can handle that. That's sex with pleasure. Really? Yeah.
Thanks for letting me know.
I had a question written down too while you were speaking. I said like, why can it be considered metaphysical? So like, why are you saying it's metaphysical? Because philosophy, ideas, I guess.
Metaphysical is what? The idea of thoughts or what?
That's what I'm asking you.
Well, I mean, it's just like the idea of what is this? I'm guessing with that, I mean, he never actually probably tested that out for himself because he wasn't married, never had kids, so like, how do you know if you ever even had sex? He just kind of talked about it behind the.
We actually do know he had sex when he died of HIV.
You could also be born with it.
Or it was, like,
I miss my
shooting up, or he got cut and kind of swapped blood or spit with some other.
However, Michael did say it was a sexually transmitted disease.
Yeah. Well, everybody knows that, though.
Yeah.
But it also can be shared with
That's fine, though. Dies by HIV. Spends his life probably worrying about HIV.
Well, like,
I mean, not really worried.
He didn't say
studying and, trying to understand the deeper meaning.
Well, he did say at one point he did say a sexual indignity forced him to leave Poland for West Germany. And so what happened?
He must have been sleeping in the brothel and it just went everywhere.
He was cheating.
Well, that would make sense. The brothel of Germany.
He moved to Germany. So I don't know. Maybe that's what he
take the stick before he went to play.
Don't be silly, really.
All right.
I can go ahead because it actually kind of segues into mine. Believe it or not. No way. Okay, so my philosopher that I decided on was Epicurus. An interesting name. He was born in 341 BC in Samos. Died 270 BC in Athens of kidney stones.
Ouch.
Kind of a fun way, I guess. He was ancient philosophy, so he was way back, obviously before Christ. That's how you go with BC, I guess. His big thing was all good and bad derived from the sensations of what he defined as pleasure and pain. So what is good is what is pleasurable, and what is bad is what is painful. Basically, he was saying that like overindulgence leads to pain. So he was saying gluttony and all that stuff. Yeah, all that stuff. Kind of like hedonism, in moderation type deal, but because like that's the hedonism thing was Dr. Watts giving me shit about the class. Getting drunk on the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Seeing him
Bad.
buying alcohol at
How
Kessler's.
awkward was that?
Awesome, actually.
Well, it probably was awesome.
I
was just
I
like,
walked into the alcohol section at Kessler's, right? And we're like, "Oh, what should we get? What should we get?" I'm like, "You know what? I'm actually good. I don't really need anything." And my roommate goes up and grabs a 30 rack of Bush, goes up and pays for it. He just assumed that he was buying it for us.
yeah.
But realistically, he was actually buying it for himself, and I just had beers left. He just buys a 30 rack and it's cheap. He buys like 30 rack for $18 and then he just drinks it himself. So he's the one that's overindulging. Not me. Not I.
Okay, lame.
Wow.
So basically, he had like a moral distinction between good and evil, I guess you could say. Kind of said no one is better than the other. So no evil is better than good, or no good is better than evil. He kind of stayed on the fence. He never took a stance in politics. And people that are Epicureans, they kind of have seclusion to everything else. Like they just kind of stay away from it, and they advocate seclusion, is what was said.
So it's kind of like the way they do a movie.
Yeah, I was just
Ink
thinking of that.
was secluded, but then there's the good side of the dreamers and the bad side of the incubus
Nightmares.
So
The principle is epitomized by the phrase "Leif Bielsus," I'm sure I'll say it, meaning live in obscurity, get through life without drawing attention to yourself. So that was his way of going through life, is to just not draw attention and just be the guy in the shadows kind of thing.
Would you say that like living in the shadows, the last thing you said, would be almost pig in the mud-ish?
Definitely, it would be. I would say for sure, because he's just kind of saying like, I'm happy enough where I am. I don't need to be a celebrity in the limelight. I just need to be me at my desk, and that's it.
do what I do. If maybe he enjoyed it, but he didn't try to go party out every weekend, make a scene, try to get in the news or whatever. Just kind of
He's happy enough in the mud.
Do you disagree or agree with that though? Like, do you?
I disagree, actually. I don't believe in the pig in the mud thing. I think he should be going out and experiencing different things. No, I'm a believer in experience by doing. So if you just kind of pig in the mud and don't go see things, rather read about it or see it from the distance, and I don't think you're really getting the full experience. So I don't agree with that theory. Any other questions?
You mentioned he was on the fence, and that was a good video game. Do you kind of think that way too a little bit, or?
I would say so, because you can't have evil without having good. You can't have good without having evil. So there's you can't say, well, I'm good, because what's good if there's no evil?
Yeah.
Right?
There has to be a balance to the world.
Right, exactly. So
It has to be right and left, because otherwise.
So essentially, what he is he is Canada. He's on the fence.
It all reverts back to
Canada, like Switzerland,
Or that.
neutral.
Yeah, well, that's what Canada is.
Well,
We're not going to fight in this war. Actually, we're going to go there.
Canada was the first one to fight in World War One. They fought before America. Well, that's why a lot of
That was
Americans.
then.
Because they're French still, in a way.
Oh,
That's true.
we were part of England at that point. Maybe not. No, World War One. No.
There was like a huge influence. French
We did win one war though.
The
Against
war
the
that-
Americans.
Yep. I remember that.
The War of 1812. We beat the Americans. in the war.
Yep. We tried to take over Canada during the 1812, and they beat us. The only war we
We're
truly
back to
lost.
back. America's back to back World War champs. So,
That's true. That's true.
Ah, with help.
Yeah, granted with help.
Yeah, but we helped them. We're more of the
Yeah.
support there. That's going off on a big tangent.
We let them take the big brunt of the force, then we'll clean up the rest.
That's better.
Yeah, let's get this going.
Okay, I'll do mine next. Protagoras, however you pronounce his name, he was born in 490 BC and died in 420, so older than your guy. Yep, he lived around the time of Plato. Actually, Plato and him had two dialogues together, where Plato actually mentioned that he was invented the role of a professional sophist. He was a sophist or sophist philosopher. Which another dialogue he was in a lot of other philosophers' dialogues like Plutarch, and him, where they spent an entire day discussing whether if in an athletic contest a man had been accidentally hit and killed by a javelin, was his death attributed to the javelin, to the person that threw the javelin, or to the authorities of the contest that were responsible for that. And he was big into dialogue, and just was in a bunch of other dialogues by other people. I don't want to say them all because there was a lot of them he was in. But he was also in, his main phrase is that man is the measure of all things, which they said what he meant was that that the individual measures like the truth of the world. It's how you perceive it is how it's supposed to be. No other way. It's whatever you see as true is true to you and nobody else. So no matter which side you are, if you believe something that is true until you prove it, or until you find that it might be wrong, and then but things are how they are to you. You see things is what you see. That's it.
So using his philosophy, you can go into a test and say this answer's right because I believe it's right, and you can go to the teacher and say that's true. You're like, no, that's wrong. No, it's true because I believe it's true.
Which kind of like the chair thing.
Yep.
Because you don't know if we're colorblind or not. We can't see the green or red chair. We just see a chair.
Yeah.
Could be black, could be red, could be green.
Well, it's a red chair. No, it's green. Green.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you're seeing like two completely different things. Like your red is my green, but we just know it as green.
Yep.
So I mean, it's perception.
That's how we
perceive something.
It's like that picture. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's like a picture of like two ladies. There's an old lady in the picture and then a very young girl in the picture. If you guys ever seen that one?
Yep, I've seen
Like, and then if you like
If you look at it like a certain way, you see an old lady. Look at it another way, you see a girl.
Yeah, it's kind of the trick of the eyes.
Yeah.
Like the sight thing kind of Pathfinder never figured out. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The question I wrote down had to do with the thing with the javelin, how he who's he? They were trying to figure out, who to blame. Like, was it fate? Was it this guy's fault? Was it the javelin's fault? Or was it the official's fault? Like he
wasn't paying attention or whatever. Hey, look, there's a javelin coming over.
Yeah, it's
Or
like,
it could have been the javelin, might have been
What if you were
just
working
right, where it kind of caught the wind. I understand. They didn't tell me much about like what they decided afterwards. They just mentioned that, and I thought that was really interesting that they spent the entire day on just how the hell that happened, who is responsible.
But they got to think, like, they organize an event, did they give the officials whoever, how did they get stabbed? Did like the wind catch it right and move it off the course? Or was the guy sitting in the middle of the course and use the guy that's measuring the distance? And he just wasn't paying attention? Or did they give him something to protect themselves?
No.
Javelins flying in the air? I mean, I know we have this in the Olympics, I think. Don't we?
Not being too tough to hurt.
But it's more of like a what if statement there.
Yeah.
It was saying.
It has, I think this is like fate, though.
Yep, it does definitely does do with fate and politics. He did a lot with politics, I believe. I read it.
Mine's typed up on my computer, but since my computer is currently recording us, I have a picture of it here. So that's how I will be reading is on the picture. So
is your experience reading off the computer or your phone going to make it different from your experience reading off your computer?
Definitely would, I'd say. I mean, it's making me think differently. I
Tell me this having my phone out.
I didn't take a picture of it. Zeno of Sidurus.
Yeah, Sidurus.
Citium. Zeno of Citium. He was born in 334 BC and he died in 262 BC, so he's like also kind of right during your guys' time. He was the founder of the Stoic school of philosophy. I don't know what you guys did in high school. We did a lot with like Stoic stuff like that. Heroic Stoicism. We did a lot of that. Much of what this was based on was moral ideas of the Cynics, and the Cynics were like, they were the thinkers. Stoicism is based on the idea that anything which causes us to suffer in life is actually an error in our judgment, and that we should always have absolute control over our emotions. So that, it's basically saying your actions are what affect or what what controls your life. Like you control your actions, and then your actions control what happens to you. I can really relate to this because I feel that this is how I live my life. I live my life, might die tomorrow, live today to the fullest. Like a lot of people are like, you should save your money. You're gonna need it someday. In my opinion, why should I save my money? I'm not making it for someone else. I'm making it for myself. If I do die tomorrow, I want my bank account to be empty because then I have the things I wanted at the time.
I don't have to look for anything then. He was like,
Yeah, I've got. That's why.
What I can do right now.
Live in the moment is what I get from this anyway. Everyone has the power to do that.
So living in the moment, probably with the girlfriend right now and doing this project.
If you want something changed, change it. Everyone has the power to do it, but most people lack the will. Which
with the motivation too.
Yeah, exactly. To put it in another way is the world is what you make of it. While reading about him, I found that he was kind of a rough around the edges guy, which is, I guess they said that he moved a lot and he was kind of, a rough looking character. He was intrigued by the teachings of Crates of Thebes, who was the most famous cynic of the time in Greece, and many of the teachings are of his descendants. He divided philosophy into three parts. This is back to Zeno. Those three parts are logic, physics, and ethics, which is kind of tied back into rhetoric. I don't know if you guys know what rhetoric. Logos equals ego.
Speech class.
Yep. Speech class, persuasion. The ultimate goal of Zeno's techniques was to achieve happiness, which is done by living in his teachings. And the final thing that he stressed that really stuck out to me was the nature of the universe is such that it accomplishes what is right and prevents the opposite. It is identified with unconditional fate, while allowing those with free will to attribute to it. And I said yet again, my life. You get to choose your own path. No one, just because someone says you have to do this in life, you don't have to do that. You choose your own path. You make your own decisions. Some of it's going to be fate, and the other is going to be choice that leads to fate. In my opinion, everything, I'm a big believer in fate. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. There's nothing you're gonna do to control it. If it's your time to go, it's your time to go. If it's your time to succeed, it's your time to succeed. You can do anything and everything you want, but everything is somehow, I believe, to be back to fate.
So, you had said that you believe in living in the moment and all that kind of stuff. Do you think, as your life progresses and things change, maybe you have kids or family, do you think that might change?
Yeah, I do. I mean, the last, not this one that I made today, but our last video, I believe we talked about how am I not myself, how we change.
Right.
And it's exactly right. I mean, how am I not myself can, I believe, change daily. I mean, you can be yourself one day to the next. You can have a different set of ideas or beliefs. I mean, it's not necessarily going to change, like, have a completely opposite standpoint on something, but just an idea, the seed of an idea in your mind can start to grow and everything like that. So I believe it can change.
What about specifically like saving money? Like maybe you save money for your kids rather than spending it.
It's a possibility, but at the same time, my parents never really saved money for me. I mean, when I worked on farms when I was a kid, we had cattle and everything, and we had to feed the baby calves. And my parents paid us for feeding the baby calves. But from 5th grade, younger than that, 3rd grade, I was in charge of buying my own school supplies. If I wanted something, I had to buy it myself. I mean, if I want new pants, go ahead and buy it yourself. We'll pay you more. But they're not going to help me. I mean, they gave a lot of responsibility at such a young age that, like,
I had to grow up.
well, yeah, I just feel I've always bought stuff for myself. And I mean, I'm kind of the odd duck in the family. Like, my sister, who's older than me, still is under my parents' cell phone plan. And to me, as soon as I graduated high school, I just didn't want that. I wanted to be my own person. That's why I have this nice Nokia phone instead of an iPhone like everyone else in my family. Because I was like, I don't want.
It's no free either.
Oh yeah, and if you just go to Radio Shack, $20 replacement plan. But yeah, I mean that.
I don't even know what the replacement
Yeah,
is.
it's $20 like get a new phone.
The guy that got my iPhone for $1 was the other guy upgraded my phone.
See, so like me, I can definitely see myself changing. Like, I'll have different views as soon as I have children, which I believe everyone will. I mean, right now, I don't have any kids.
Well, just having fun.
Yeah, I've got a girlfriend. I mean, I'm very committed to her, but it's not like, permanent yet. It's not stamped on any papers yet. I'm spending my money how I want. Yeah, exactly.
Well, just looking past the goalie.
I'm playing soccer anytime. Okay, I do play soccer. So
Take your stick before you play.
Exactly.
I'm like Michael's guy.
Oh yeah, he. Funky.
In the beginning, you said something about, I believe that emotions affect like your judgment. Like I believe I thought you said something about how you should control your emotions. You should kind of shut them down.
I have that. That he said that we should have absolute control over our emotions.
So we should. So in his ideas, would you say that he wouldn't live day by day to the fullest kind of thing? He'd try to think ahead almost, or
no, I think he's still more live in the moment. I think he control your emotions. Like, don't let this affect you right now. Like, okay, you have to control your emotions. I mean, I'm trying to give an example. Like, if you get laid off at work, don't go into a spiraling depression. You have to control your emotions, and you have to live each day because tomorrow's a new day. What if tomorrow someone else from a different company has been watching you and wants to give you the job and he pays you more? I mean, you always have to keep. I'm a very optimistic person. There's always the bright side to it. If you can find a day where, I don't get angry. And to me, being angry wastes time. How often are you angry? And at the end of the day, you're happy. But you wasted that 3 hours just being angry at your girlfriend because she didn't text you.
sounds like you're familiar with that.
I don't get angry. Like, I try. I'm sure I do. I get frustrated. uneven, not flawless, but
You don't sit on it for.
yeah, exactly. Like, right. And to hold a grudge, I couldn't hold a grudge and save. It just. I don't know.
Alright, for my question, like, let's say you won the lottery, you won $50 million. You know, lawyers always say it's better to give it over in the course of so many years. We'll get it all up front. Which one do you probably choose? Would you like to live at the moment? Would you like that $50 million?
I would take it all up front, and then, I mean, I honestly don't know how I'd act with $50 million.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had $50 million, I could tell you how I'd act, but I don't have $50 million. So just thinking right now, I mean, I would, yeah, exactly, like,
It's above and beyond what we can imagine.
yeah, I wouldn't even know where to start. I mean, I'd be like, I'm gonna buy a pickup, and then I'd be like, why should I buy a pickup? I got $50 million. I'm gonna get a Lamborghini. I want a Lamborghini. I live in South Dakota. Oh, just move to LA. I mean, it would just, I don't even know where to start with that because it's just way too many possibilities with that. I honestly, yeah, that's what I do. I'd probably, I'd buy properties, invest. What the best thing to do is I'd buy all this expensive land up around Aberdeen and then just start renting out, make money off of making money. I mean,
Hunting, like renting out to hunters.
exactly. It's not even that. I mean, just I'd buy it, rent it out to a rich farmer. I mean, just work the system.
Oh yeah.
You've got your foot in the door. Keep that son of a bitch wide open and take advantage of it.
Any other questions?
Include the philosopher profiles. Nope. Ours is at 12.
Oh, it's for that.
Oh yeah, it's finals week.
I didn't know if that started on.